For all of us, it's about predicting where the consumer is going and getting half of it right.
One of the things we want to do is create ads that don't suck.
Embracing change creates great possibility.
I'm Alan Hart, and this is Marketing Today. This week on the podcast, we've got one episode per day, all coming from the Adobe Summit in late March. And I hope you enjoy each and every one of them.
I'm David Cancel. I'm the CEO and founder of Drift.
Well, welcome to Marketing Today.
Thanks for having me, bro.
So, listeners may or may not be familiar with Drift. The B2B ones, I'm sure probably are, because you have like 150,000 people using this.
Yep.
But can you tell us a little bit about what Drift is? What do you do? What you provide? That kind of thing.
Sure. The easiest way to think about it is that we connect your sales teams with people who are ready to buy now, right? And we do that through something we call conversational marketing, right? And so whatever you do from a marketing standpoint, whether you send out emails, you do events, you do field marketing, you have an outbound sales approach, at some point your buyers are going to come back to the website to investigate. And at that point, we turn that kind of anonymous experience into one where they can have a conversation with someone on your team or with one of our bots that does sales qualification. And then we can figure out if we should route that to one of the salespeople who may own that account.
Okay, great. So we're here at Adobe Summit and along with the Marketo and Marketing Nation group of people. And you just made a significant announcement in partnership going deeper with Marketo and Adobe. Tell us a little bit more about what that new level of partnership looks like.
Sure. So we are lucky to have been working with Marketo in the past. And this deeper integration that we announced today, a joint product that we call conversational ABM. So conversational account-based marketing, right? And the idea with it is that you do all this hard work to build up your Marketo database, right? Whether it's from a sales standpoint, marketing standpoint, you build up your list, you do all that stuff, and you want to give this ABM type of experience. You want to give these people a VIP experience. And so how do we take that power that's in that Marketo database and bring it to the website so that we can recognize someone that comes when they come and actually have a customized conversation waiting for them when they show up on your website?
Got it. Got it. Well, I was just doing a roundtable with a bunch of CMOs. One of the CMOs was leading the roundtable on ABM and implementation. Yeah. And she mentioned Drift, but we didn't get into the details of that. But I bring it up because for her, going through the first two steps, basically, of identifying those accounts, narrowing the targets down for ABM to be effective, and then enriching the data because they don't know everyone in that account using other types of tools that are out there. Took 6 months. Yeah. So it's a process.
It's a big process.
And a lot of alignment with sales if you're the marketer in that regard. So what will this integration look and feel like? Like if I've already got, say, a CRM with Marketo layered on top, and I now put Drift in to drive this conversational ABM, what is that? What's the handoffs look like?
Yep, and we've lived through it ourselves, but we've seen it with a lot of our enterprise and commercial customers where they've spent 6 months, a year, kind of rolling out this ABM approach. But then they drive them back to this anonymous experience. It'd be like, if you were here in Vegas today, if you were a high roller here and every time you came in, they treated you like they didn't know you, right? You'd be like, what's going on? And if this casino was spending a lot of time trying to get you to come back and they bring you back to an anonymous experience, it would be a weird experience, right? And we just met today, but if I saw you tomorrow and I just talked to you like I never saw you before, then that would be a weird experience. And so what we're doing is we're basically taking today, and what I'm excited about with this partnership is that the hard work has already been done, right? So these marketers have already defined the list. They've already defined the context. They've already defined the strategy. And all they're doing, this is as turnkey an integration as we've ever done, is by adding Drift to their website, now they can personalize that VIP experience at scale. And so now we will take those lists that already exist and we will know what to do when those people show up on the website the next time. And no human has to be involved, right? Like, this is all bot powered. And so we'll have a customized experience there. And then basically it's a new channel to be able to use your lists on, right? Instead of an outbound, this gives you an inbound approach, an inbound net that you can use for all your outbound activities.
So in the non-technical, technical description of this is you're using the database that's in Marketo of customers and doing your identity discovery in terms of who this anonymous visitor might be, and then linking those two things together.
Linking them together and then giving them a customized message for them. Yes.
And then obviously through the chat experience, you actually can probably drive even stronger linkage to actual individual level.
Yeah. And so we might know it's a VIP. It's Alan's here for the first time. Wow, this is a VIP here. He's from Marketing Today. But we've never moved him to the next stage of the consideration process, which is like now we need to qualify him. So now the bot knows that and will start to, when you interact with it, start to ask you those qualifying questions. And then if you get to a qualified state in the middle of that real-time experience, then we will know, okay, who owns which sales rep and which office and which location owns Marketing Today as an account, right? And so we'll ping that person, or we'll see if they're around. And if they're not around, we'll offer up their calendar. And so let's say it's my calendar and say, hey, Alan, sorry, David's not around, but he'd love to chat with you. Why don't you pick one of the times that you want him to get back to you at? So the power moves to you, the buyer. You decide, hey, have David call me back or have him Zoom me back or whatever at this time exactly. And so that becomes the experience. And for that sales rep who was asleep or busy or what have you, all of a sudden they have a qualified demo opportunity without having to do any work.
Right.
Yeah.
So is the next thing to replace the salesperson? I'm just picking.
Yeah.
Speaking from a marketer standpoint.
That is from a marketer standpoint. Actually, I've heard it from some salespeople as well. No, I think the whole question, it's a bigger question about like, machine learning, AI, and all these buzzwords that we hear. And it's really about like, where does the value get moved? And so it's like more of these basic things that are not valuable. And by the way, they're not possible because a salesperson has to sleep, right? Like this is, with Drift, this bot is available 24/7, 365, right? When you're on vacation, when you're off. And so we hear the opposite, where we hear from SDRs and sales reps on the other side, like, that this is awesome. We actually have people post on Twitter. They tweet like, this is hashtag how I drift. And if you look through those are actually sales reps and marketers hiking mountains, going on vacations, hanging with their kids. They post this on their own because all of a sudden they're able to focus on stuff that really matters versus being tied to a console, tied to a laptop. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, this is a powerful tool that you've built. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile. You've done a lot of startups before this. Yeah. Where did the idea for this come from, and why did you start the startup thing? Yeah. You've done this so many times.
Too many. Yeah. I left my last company, a company called HubSpot, and I was thinking, maybe I don't start another company. Maybe I retire. Maybe I don't know what. But I was thinking of retiring, and of course my wife, we've been together 20 years. She laughs at me, laughs in my face. She's like, "This is never going to happen. Yeah. You will never retire." And so like I started to think about stuff, and I said, okay, if I were going to do one last company, what would be the criteria? And I thought like, well, it'd have to be a big enough idea that I could do it for a long enough time. It had to matter. I probably wouldn't want to sell it as quickly as I sold all the other companies in the past. And then I started working backwards and saying, okay, what's changed in the world? And it was kind of like a matrix moment or light bulb moment where all of a sudden I started to think about, wait, the way that we buy, the way that we interact, like had so fundamentally changed that even all the stuff that I had built in the past in marketing and sales, I started to think about it. I'm like, I don't think any of it makes sense anymore. Like, I think the world like flipped upside down like immediately, because I had gone from a world where in all those, my past companies, we live in a company controlled world. The company could dictate the buying process. The company could get back to you whenever you wanted. And we were starting Drift, and I said, it's no longer true. And it's accelerating. And I don't think most companies have realized that the world has fundamentally flipped. It's inverted.
Yeah.
And so like, wow, all the stuff I built doesn't make sense anymore. All right. So like, what would I do now? And it's like, well, now we need to focus on the buyer. And from a marketing standpoint, this is like something that we've talked about for at least 15 years, right? Longer actually, because my entire career, like the importance of customer experience, like the whole experience management stuff, like all that stuff we talked about it, but in B2B, it did not matter, because in B2B, as much as you wanted it to be true, companies had all the power. They had very little competition for a long time. And so when we have all the power, then we're going to dictate what the buying process feels like, what the handoff process feels like, the whole experience. Now that the world's flipped upside down, like now the whole thing has changed, and now we can no longer dictate those things. Now all of a sudden, all the stuff that we talked about for 15, 20 years, now it matters. Right? It wasn't wrong. It was about timing, and it was about like where the incentives are. And now the incentives for every company in the world, I believe, is like, how do we get closer to the customer? How do we build that long-term relationship, because they have infinite choice. They can leave tomorrow, right? And so we no longer have monopolies except for in a very few areas. And even those monopolies are being turned upside down.
I love it. I love it. Well, if you're stepping back from drift, obviously that's a good solution. I'll give you a little kudos now.
Thank you.
But if you're a CMO or a head of marketing, is there advice? You've been tracking this for a long time, this shift. And what would you advise them on to, in general terms, to drive better engagement or to drive through this shift that's happening?
Yeah, I believe in the thing I talk about every day is like the saying from Charlie Munger, which is like invert, always invert. And what I mean by that is like, don't flip the whole model upside down. And for us, it's like the easiest way to think about it as a marketer is like, start with what would cause you not to be successful, right? Like what would, you could flip it and say, how do we start from the customer versus what we want? And the biggest advice I'd give someone is you have to start with your customer, right? Because these things, we're seeing massive disruption today across everything, right? Whether it's Uber or whether it's whatever, Apple just announced their cash card. I don't know if you saw that, right?
Yeah.
But they did an announcement today with New York City. And so they're going to accept the cash card instead of the Metro card. If you know the Metro card, that's how you get on the thing.
Yeah.
So New York City is going to get rid of the Metro card now. So that has been a locked in monopoly forever. And like that, it's gone. Right? So like if something as intricate as getting government to switch this entire thing can vanish overnight, just think about what can happen to your business and if you're not close to that customer, right? All of us are going to be disrupted.
Right. Well, I want to switch gears a little bit. And what's top of mind related to marketing at your company right now? I mean, you guys have hit this, you're hitting your stride, but I'm sure there's stuff that you still want to do, you want to break through. Or,
there's so many things that we're looking at now. We really don't look at, again, we start by not really looking at what's best in class in B2B or best in class in kind of like our set of companies. We almost never look at those companies. We look at what's best in class in the world. Like, what are the best experiences? I think like when all of a sudden you've gone from a world like where you have monopolies to everything is highly commoditized and not accelerating. Now it's like, okay, what's left? There's no moats around software. There are no moats around even processes. Okay. The last thing that you have is a brand that you can build and that experience that people want to buy. And the only thing that we're willing to spend more money on is a great experience. Okay. So now I start to think about from a marketing standpoint, how do we deliver great experiences? Like what is something that stands out? And so we invest in a lot of untraditional weird things to make our customers and community and fans and whatever happy, and other marketers will look at that and be like, well, how do you measure that? How do you think about that? And it's like, look, marketing is actually very simple. Performance marketing. All the arbitrage that exists for you to go out there, right, exist in areas that are hard to measure and are subscale by definition. Anything that is at scale and very easy to measure, whether it's PPC, Facebook ads, insert an example here that you want, the arbitrage is very low.
Right. By design.
Right. And so like I talk to marketers about this, and most performance marketers, they're so obsessed with tools and this and that they don't get this fundamental thing. And it's like, look, the people who really won in PPC were the people at the beginning. Why? Not because they knew some secret, but because nobody wanted to touch that channel because we couldn't measure it, and it wasn't at full scale. Now, obviously, there's still some arbitrage there. It's very small. Same thing in Facebook ads. Same thing Instagram ads happening now. In all performance marketing. So as a marketer, what you need to do is like you need to be able to do some big bets on things. They can start at a small that fundamentally look like they won't scale, that are hard to measure, hard to explain, because that's where the biggest upside is. Some of those will fizzle out, some of them won't work. This is a series of experimentation, but those will be where your big levers are. Your big levers are not going to be chasing tools and channels that everyone is already chasing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And it mirrors a lot of what's going on in the direct-to-consumer
100%.
world with those brands. And they're tapping out with those things because there's not the arbitrage opportunity.
No, it's gone.
And they're moving to traditional channels.
Yes, it's crazy.
Because that is the new arbitrage for them.
And we do the same thing. We do billboards. We do all sorts of takeovers. We do lots of crazy things that look like a consumer brand. Like a lot of stuff that we do would look like the things that you would see in Adweek that consumer brands are doing. That's where the arbitrage opportunities are.
Well, I went to the website today. I've been there before, but I had a new lens on it now that you're partnering with a big Goliath company, right? I was like, you don't look like an enterprise company. No. But you're selling to
the enterprise companies.
Huge, large enterprise companies. It was a little bit refreshing, actually. Because I kind of could get it, actually engaged with one of the sales reps. And it was a live one because it flipped over from the bot to a person.
So you saw that,
yeah. And it was enjoyable. It was casual and was fun.
And that's what people want, which is like we deal with very large enterprise companies. And the thing that we saw early on, which surprised me, was that they were hungry for change because these people inside these companies knew that the efficacy of the stuff that they were doing was starting to wane, right? The idea that they were just going to gate ebooks and, like rely on cold calls and rely on outbound like emails, they were looking for the next thing. And I always say that I would ask, and I still, when I go into a company, I would ask 100% of the marketing people and 100% of the salespeople that I would meet, executives, individual contributors, same question. Do you respond to the things that you do? Do you respond to filling out forms for ebooks? Do you do that often? You respond to these outbound emails? Do you respond to cold calls? 100% of the people that I have ever asked laugh at me when I ask that. Right. Every one of them will laugh at me. And at that point I say, these are the only 3 things you're doing for your business. So these are the only 3 levers. Everyone in this room is laughing at me. They think it's the weirdest thing. So have we hit peak insanity when everyone is laughing at the thing that they are doing and saying that it would never work on them? Right. And somehow they think it's going to mystically work on, magically work on somebody else. It's not, right? And so people are looking for that authenticity and that relationship, because what we say is look, if you have a sales team, then you've never sold anything till we've had a conversation. It can't happen. So as marketers, we have to figure out how do we accelerate conversations versus deflect conversations. And that's the flip that we're focused on.
Love it. A couple more questions, more personal in nature, because I like to get behind the scenes of the people I'm talking to as well. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh man, I love this question. I'm an obsessive reader, and I'm obsessed with role models and this, and we have a podcast that we do around that kind of
What's your podcast name?
It's called Seeking Wisdom.
Okay, so maybe we'll get you some more subscribers.
Oh yeah,
too.
nice. Yes. That'd be awesome. Best part, I feel like there's so many pieces of advice that I rely on. I'd say the best. I'm going to give you a meta advice. Okay, so the meta advice is that I think all of the advice that we need to follow, we all know. We all innately know already. And the way I think about it now is that it takes most of us an entire lifetime to be able to figure out that we already knew what we needed to know. Right. And so I think about, and this might sound cryptic, but I kind of think about this sometimes. I think maybe at my deathbed, if I have one more thought, the thought will be you always knew. Right? You always knew the answers, and it took you years of pain to listen. I always say Mother Nature is the teacher of last resort. You will learn these lessons. You will either learn by learning from someone else, through a podcast like this, which is why it's important from an education standpoint. But most people elect not to learn from that. They will learn through hindsight, aka pain. Right? So that's my meta advice. You already know the answer. Really lean on this idea of not learning everything through pain, and really learn from others who've already gone through pain.
I don't know how to ask a question after that.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's really good advice. It made me think, it made me kind of go inside myself there for a second.
It's important.
But what's the best source of information for you? We, as individuals and business people, we are bombarded by information.
Oh, too much information, right? We've gone from this world of scarce information to, beyond abundance, drowning in information. And so what's really important to me right now, and again, I love reading, is that I try to focus all of my time in reading, not on things that are new, despite writing a book, but like things that are new, but really go back to the classics. And I like to disproportionately weight my reading to books that have been around for 50, 60, 100 years, because those are where the lessons are, because those are books that have been able to last a lifetime, right? A generation. And that's where the important lessons are. And I think this I'll give you another meta thing, which is like, we are just humans and we have not evolved, right? And so, or not yet. And so we have not evolved for a very long time. What that means is that all of the patterns that we exhibit are all the same. Right? The context changed, tools changed, the experiences changed, but the lessons are the same. Why? Because we're still humans and we still react in the same way. So I go back and I read that stuff. I read about how do people make decisions. I'm obsessed with social psychology and cognitive biases and all of these kind of things. And I'm obsessed with like just how do we, and then evolutionary psychology as well. Like how do we make decisions? How do we think? What do incentives matter? And those are the books that I spend my most time on. And I would suggest people spend time on those classics.
Awesome. Last question.
Sure.
One thing you love, one thing you hate or despise if you don't
despise.
like the word.
Okay. Yeah. I think they're two sides of the same coin. I love, which is
it's almost meta too.
Yeah, it's meta too. Yeah, I just operate at a meta level. One is the thing that I love is people who are passionate about whatever they are doing. And it doesn't matter to me. It's infectious and I want to be around it. It could be painting. It could be spending time with family. It could be baking. It could be whatever it is. Like that's infectious to me. I want to be around passionate people only. And the thing that I don't like, the flip side of that, are people who are not passionate about anything because I can't understand them and I can't relate to them. And so I only want to be around people who are curious. I think I call it like curious, like learning machines who want to learn and get better and evolve. Right, because that's our kind of evolutionary imperative to evolve and to have progression, basically. And so that's my thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, it's Alan again. Marketing Today was created and produced by me, with writing and editing by Kevin Greeley, social media support by Megan Woods, art and graphic design by Sarah Dell. If you're new to Marketing Today, please feel free to write us a review on iTunes or your favorite listening platform. Don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends and colleagues about the show. I love to hear from listeners, and you can contact me at marketingtodaypodcast.com. There you'll also find complete show notes with links to anything we talk about on any episode. You can also search our archives. I'm Alan Hart, and this is Marketing Today.